1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey out there, I'm using the wireless mic and it's Friday. And let's see. Oh, working on a short video right now. Just some little odd thing I saw out in the desert. You know, there was a little fire ring out there. And I figured, I'm gonna stop here and have a beer. I'll get my metal detector out and maybe somebody dropped something, you know. So I was doing that, I noticed like a little square outline on the ground there. Looks like it might have been a tent, right? So I wandered a little further around that area there, and you can see like an imprint of a car. There's like the 4-tire imprint, some melted metals and glass, and the wire from the steel belted radial tires, and that was about it. I thought that was really odd. I mean, did somebody come and haul the rest of the car away? You'd think they would have picked up all the rest of the crap too. So that's all this video is about. I've got some more video from my hike out to the dunes, which didn't really work out the way I planned. Yeah, it didn't work out the way I planned at all. I hiked all the way out to the dunes, and I forgot to take my iPhone with me. My iPhone plugs into the controller for my drone, for my Mavic Pro. I left it in the truck. Now you can fly the Mavic Pro without the iPhone, but you're missing all the features for taking pictures and videos and special settings, camera settings, and the display screen is number one. There's no display screen. And if you fly that thing out farther than you can see it with your eye, you don't know where it's at. The display screen shows it. The display screen has a little map on there and a GPS coordinates, you know, a little dot showing it where it started from and where it's at now, at least in the direction that it's at. So I hiked all the way out there and I was like, man, I am not going to hike all the way back to the truck just for that. So I got some pictures from out there, but that was about it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to post that or not, because you've seen the Ibex Dunes before. I've been out there before on my last trip, except I wanted to take some better video, and like I said, it didn't work out right. The weather was good, but so I may post that, I may not. My shocks, my rear shock did not blow out after all. You know, I noticed oil dripping out from the rear here, leaf spring and axle, while I was refueling there in Baker, and I had no idea where it was coming from. It was a light oil. It seemed like it was coming from the shock, since everything was wet. But later the next day, I noticed this right here has dry dirt stuck to it, because this is full of oil too. So the oil dripped out of the door panel and got blown back by the wind right underneath the tire there. And what it was in the rear pockets here, I use 3-in-1 oil at work, you know, 3-in-1 oil to oil my tubing cutters and tools and stuff. And as you can see, the little top is broken off. This thing had dumped over. This was a full bottle. This thing had dumped over and half the bottle dribbled out into the door panel. That's what that's from. So no need to pull the shock off to find out if it's leaking or not, because it's not. It's not leaking. On this trip I bought a little generator to charge my batteries. It was like the most inexpensive and quickest thing I could think of doing other than buying a deep cycle battery. I mean, it was $88 for a generator there at Harbor Freight, a little tiny one, 2-stroke motor. Compared to buying a deep cycle battery, which be the way to go, deep cycle, and then, you know, there's a way to mount the dual batteries in here, but you got to get the wiring and battery isolator and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, I didn't have the time and I didn't want to spend the money on it, because I really don't need it. It's good to have, I mean, I've done all these trips in the last, what, 5-6 years. You know, I find a way to get by. I mean, there's times where I need to charge something and I don't got a charger, and it's like, damn, I need to charge the batteries and the cameras, and I don't want to charge it through the truck like I normally do unless it's running. So now I got a generator, so at night I can start the generator and leave it running for a couple hours to charge batteries. But I didn't need it this time either. Good to have. Now I was thinking of doing a hike at night, because it's nice and warm out in the desert right now. It was like in the 90s during the day, probably in the 80s in the evening, and that'd be perfect to take a hike out to the dunes. Problem with that is getting back to your truck in time before it gets dark. You don't want to get lost out there. Although I do have a GPS tracker, but even I've known people that are well prepared and got some kind of GPS on their phone, and for some reason they went hiking and didn't get back, you know, in the daylight, so they figured, well, no problem, I got my phone, right? And for some reason it wasn't working properly, and they could not find their vehicle in the dark. Couldn't tell where they were at. Lost their tracks, you know, following their tracks back. So a good idea is to get a signal beacon, something like this. This is a little cheapy one. I think I got this at O'Reilly's. This is like 11 bucks. I mean, you can find these all over the place. You know, take off from your vehicle, just leave it on the top there. It's got a magnet, it's got a little hook. In case you don't get back in time, you're looking for your vehicle, where's it at? At least you got a little beacon light to follow back to your vehicle. I used to have a bunch of little ones like that, little square ones, that had about 3 or 4 different settings on them, and I had them in red and yellow and green. And I used to take them out to Ocotillo Wells. At night we'd go ride on the bikes and stuff. Let's go for a night ride, yeah. And on the way back, like, man, where do we park? I think it's over there, I think it's over there. And I got my little yellow flasher and my antenna on the Bronco flashing. Like, I see it right there. Used to get those at the 99-cent store. I can't find them no more. I looked all over. This is the best thing I could find. There's probably something better out there. But this was a last minute deal. 11 bucks, in and out the door. It's got 3 different settings or so. I didn't use it, but they're good to have, like I said. Glow sticks would even work I think. But you need something that's going to last all night. Anyway, it's like another 90-degree day out here in Southern California. I haven't done anything other than edit some videos. I've been dying to get out in this great weather. I was like, man, I could be up at the hot springs right now, down at the creek. But that's like a 2-hour drive away. That's about 3/4 tanks of fuel. A 3/4, yeah, pretty much. You know, and I'm like, it's the end of the month. I just better hold up here because I got some bills to pay. Sucks though, sitting around all day, nothing to do. Can't work on the Bronco. It's been too damn hot. I figured I'd finish painting it and waiting for it to cool down. Even that's going to take some money. I need some more paint. Alright, so that's about it. So stay tuned. I'm going to post this, and I may post maybe something from my little hike at the dunes. Nothing too impressive though. So I stopped right here to have a beer, yeah. And let's see, here we go. I want to show you that burned out car that's out here. So, see, first you got the fire ring right there, right? Where's it at? Okay. So that's why I stopped. Hey, there's a little fire ring there. That's why I stopped the first time. Now, get around here. looks like a tent was there. Possibly. Kind of square. And this would have been the front door here where they were walking in and out. And then right there, it looks like a bunch of garbage is what's left of a car. I was like, what happened to the rest of the car? You can see where the tires were. You can see the steel belts from the steel from the tires there. And that's all that's left. UFO, come and get it. Gotta watch where I step.